So good evening, everyone, all our guests. My name is Lucius Michel. I am the chair of the School of Business here at Birmingham University. And I am the manager as well of the Small Business Center. This marketing series we organize in the context of the Canadian Small Business Week is joint efforts of the Small Business Center, the School of Business, and Birmingham University. So we are very aware of the challenges small businesses face at this special time. And in this context, we join our forces to offer to our small businesses in our community these marketing seminars. So last night, we heard from Dr. Opoku the importance of marketing in such a time as this. And we know marketing is an important management tool for small business competitiveness. And we highlighted a series of key points. And tonight we're joined by our guest in the community, Mr. Peter DeWit. I have the privilege to meet, to work with, and see the extraordinary work he's doing in the community and different aspects. And in marketing in particular. So he is the CEO of Edge Marketing and Design Incorporated, which is based in Lockham here, but has actions all over beyond Lockham. And he is our guest to speak to us about innovation, how to innovate small businesses, let me say, how small businesses can innovate their way through digital marketing. It's our privilege to offer this series to our business community. And we hope through the Small Business Center, we can continue this kind of interaction and help small businesses thrive in this difficult time of COVID-19. So it is my privilege to introduce him. And we have a lot to say, but I know he is going to say a few words about himself and what he does in the community. And Peter, it's my privilege to welcome you, and we're ready to listen to you. And thank you for being with us tonight.
Okay, well, you're very welcome, and welcome everyone to the session. And thanks for your kind introduction. That's very, very kind. So the first slide here, it's the housekeeping rules we generally go through when we do a webinar with our clients, like the video symbol, because we're a relatively small group. Actually, I appreciate being able to look at people and how they respond and get some feedback. I find it very difficult sometimes to do a Zoom meeting without any interaction or feedback that you can feed on, see where people are at, but it's completely optional. So the agenda for this afternoon is on the screen right now, and you know, I want to talk a little bit about why most marketing, but when I say marketing, I mean traditional marketing. Why does the old way of doing marketing no longer works as well as it once did? And then why should a small business or organization use digital marketing? Then the third thing we're going to look at, like, how do I get started? Like, one of the things that is we see with a lot of our clients, it can be very overwhelming to know where to start. There's so many different options for you to look at. What makes the most sense in your situation? You know, like sometimes we look maybe a little bit too much to what other companies are doing, and although we can learn from it, every business is unique and has to kind of adjust their marketing plan accordingly. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Then I want to introduce you a 4-step digital marketing plan that we actually use at Edge and implement with our clients. And we've been very successful implementing that. And I think one of the reasons for that is it's a relatively simple plan, which is really important, because if you go too deep too fast, oftentimes it's hard to get going. So what happens in some cases, people they get stuck with just thinking about it, and they know they need to do something, but how do you get started? So the 4-step digital marketing plan is one area that we feel is helpful, because you take one step at a time and you can kind of build your digital marketing plan. Now, I'd love to make this an interactive session. So thanks for moderating the chat box. Make sure you type in your questions as they come up so we can deal with them towards the end of this this hour that we have. But I do appreciate your feedback and your questions, because that kind of guides our discussion. So the first line is like, why does traditional marketing no longer work? In my job at Edge, I deal with the tremendous number of great small businesses, like a variety of industries, a variety of size, variety of people that run those companies. But a lot of businesses have been asking themselves the question, like, we know the old way of marketing no longer works, but what is the how can we innovate and actually start using some of those new tools? So I just want to quickly run through a few things, and some of them are very obvious, and other ones may surprise you a little bit, maybe. But people spend more time online, like with our current situation we're in. Of course, it has the online consumption of information, and just being online has dramatically increased, right? So people cannot have only so many hours in the day. So if they don't read the newspaper anymore, and they spend the time online on social media or searching for things, of course your traditional marketing, as if it was based on newspaper ads or radio or something like that, it doesn't seem to work as well anymore as it once did. Of course, we've some of you maybe still remember the printed yellow pages. I have a picture of it here, in case you haven't seen one for a while. But small business marketing used to be very simple. Like, used to be take out a yellow page ad, pay the yellow pages a ridiculous amount of money every month to have your ad listed, and your marketing for the year was basically taken care of. So with Google now, with the search, how people look for information, I mean, it has completely almost made that kind of directory, and Yellow Pages is just one of them. It's kind of made that irrelevant for most businesses, unless you have a very niche business that people still have those books. But I haven't seen a lot of that, so that's a problem. Now, a lot of the traditional marketing, and I'm not saying it never works in any situation. I don't want to sound like it's completely non-relevant, but I just go with my experience with most small businesses that we deal with, what would benefit them the most. So traditional marketing is generally like a shotgun approach. You send out a message to, even to the newspaper or to radio. We don't have TV in Central Alberta anymore, so some of these avenues are actually no longer available, and that's of course a problem as well, right? We just lost our beloved Lacombe Globe here this year, which is extremely sad. So, but it's just a reality that people consume news in different ways, and there's just no way to make a business model out of that anymore. Another problem with traditional advertising compared to digital and anything online, like it's anything that you do online is measurable. You have the metrics, what works, what doesn't work. With some of the traditional tools, you just have very little idea how many people have seen your ad. You have no idea how many people have acted on your ad, on your piece of content. So, and that becomes a problem as well, because a lot of business owners and marketing people, they want to see a return on their investment. So if you can show them results that actually, so many people have clicked on your ad, so many people have seen your ad, so many people have visited your website. Now you actually have hard numbers that you can bring to the bank, compared to assumptions of, we have so many people living in Central Alberta, so we predict that 10,000 people have heard your ad, or and things like that. So it's really difficult to measure. And then Google has kind of taken over a lot of that, the search and how we look for information. So these are all fairly obvious, perhaps, but it is one of the reasons that that small businesses need to look at digital marketing as in most cases, their main tool of marketing and advertising. So we're kind of pushed into that, and I think with the current situation with COVID, we've sped up this process by maybe 5 or 10 years. Like we were going to get there anyway, but it has sped up the development of new kinds of advertising avenues, and to the demise of some of the more traditional ones. So this is a stat that I found. It's from a social media company, and it is truly amazing numbers if you think about it. And another reason why businesses from every size, any size, will have to look at their digital marketing and see what they can do with it, because of the whole world's population, 59% now has access to the internet. Almost 50% has social media accounts, for example, right? So if you look at these numbers, then like in marketing, it's really important, and in your advertising, it's really important to be where your clients are, or your prospective clients. So if you're not online, or if you cannot be found online, or you don't have a presence, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get through to your clients, because this is their main choice of where they consume news and where they find out about your product. So again, I thought it was a staggering number, and it's only going to increase. Interestingly, there's more mobile phone users in the world than there's internet connections. I found it an interesting stat as well. So what can a small business do to start building a digital marketing plan? Now, like a marketing plan could include all kinds of other items as well. So again, like based on my first slide, there's definitely room for radio advertising for some campaigns. There's definitely room for a lot of the other things as well. But I wanted to zoom in on the digital marketing today, because that's where most of the action is at the moment, and that makes sense based on the slide that I just showed you. So again, that's where a lot of small businesses are struggling with, frankly, to catch up with this and make sure that they're doing the right thing, and that they're spending or investing their advertising dollars, like their limited budget, in the right places. So I think that what's holding back a lot of small businesses, they simply don't know where to start, and I don't blame them, because there's so many different signals that they hear, so many different messages that come to them every day, like. We call that sometimes like random acts of marketing. Like we're just throwing out different ideas, and all these ideas, like do a brand, develop a new brand, update our website. We have to get on social media. All those things in themselves are good things, but without a proper plan and actually thinking through why that is important to your business and why it would work best for you. That's oftentimes a step that gets overlooked. We're very good as small business owners and entrepreneurs, and I'm a perfect example of it. We always tend to just jump into the next thing and make sure and try it out and see if it works, right? Instead of sometimes thinking it through and actually have a plan. So it's really important to develop a simple plan, a plan that you can act on, and that actually will give you results. So what we say, we're trying to focus on the 20% of your marketing that will give you 80% of your results. So again, every small business that we deal with has a limited budget, and it's the same for not-for-profits or organizations. It's a limitation. So how can you kind of invest your marketing dollars in places that have the highest probability of giving you results? Okay. That's our goal, and in essence, we want to also look at marketing as a system. Like a lot of most businesses will have an accounting system. Some businesses will have a HR system. They have CRM systems for sales departments, but you don't hear a lot of talk about businesses having a marketing system. And we truly see marketing as a system as well. And with the automation options that you have to do some of your marketing these days, it's very possible to create a system that has predictable results, and it's actually something that works for you 24/7. So again, that's an important part of your digital marketing plan as well. So once you figure out how you're going to do it, are there certain things that you can automate, and that's proven to be very, very powerful. and a lot of growth is companies that really embrace this automation piece to make it easier to put their marketing on steroids. That really has paying off, and that makes total sense. And especially on the online marketing piece, of course, it's very easy. It's easier to automate than something that's more traditional. So again, it's very important to get the plan and prevent random acts of marketing. So this is a like an overview of 4-step digital marketing plan that we implement for our clients, and it again has 4 basic building blocks. And it's very important as well that we use these 4 steps in the right order, because if you, for example, if your website is not completely optimized and it's not really up to par, it's really not very effective to start driving traffic to the website, right? So I'll just quickly go through the 4 steps. So the number 1 step is to clarify your message. There's a lot of advertising and a lot of communication that goes out that's really unclear what these companies are doing. Like what is the first question that you have to ask yourself is what problem do you solve? Like what is it that you really offer to the client? So I mean, if you are a plumber, then you're offering plumbing service, obviously, but what you really solve for somebody that has a sewer backup in their home, you're solving the fact that it could potentially create a tremendous mess in their house, right? A lot of damage. So although you fix their sewer, you actually really fix the underlying problem is the actual result of not acting, right? So if you start out in your communication with that problem, that generally resonates with people. And if they land on your website or they see your ads, they will go like instantly they know, well, okay, this is a company or this is a provider that is solving my problem. So what you see a lot on websites, for example, is we talk a lot about ourselves, how long we've been in business. Our grandfather has started the company 65 years ago. And that's all important information. But from a customer point of view that has a need, it doesn't really resonate with them very much, because they, again, their question to you is like, what is, well, can you solve my problem? So then the next question is like, how do you solve that problem? Again, you talk about the client, not about yourself. And then what is the positive result of dealing with this or dealing with us on that, right? So those are 3 really important elements that we discuss with clients, and we sometimes have to dig a little deeper than just the surface. But if you get that first step right, all your other communication, like the text that goes on your website, the content that you may be creating for social media or for other purposes, your paid advertising campaigns, if they all have this message that resonates with your client, of course you're going to be more effective, and people are going to say, yeah, like this is for me, like what you have to offer, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So that's the first step we recommend taking to clarify that. Really, we use a framework called StoryBrand by Donald Miller. It's we've adapted it somewhat, but it's in essence the framework that he came up with, and it kind of walks you through the different steps of taking the attention off yourself and really focusing on your customer. And of course, marketing professionals have been doing this for ages, right? So, but it is very tempting sometimes to talk too much about ourselves and not about a problem that we solve for our clients. So that's the first step we do. We would recommend taking. Then the second step is your like a lead generating website. So every business needs a website. Every organization needs a website. It's actually incredible. I read stats the other day that only, I think it was 60% or so of small businesses in Canada actually have websites, and this is in 2020. So I mean, it is it's still a very important building block of your business. for a lot of your clients and prospective clients, your website will be their first point of contact. But sometimes it could also be the only point of contact at the moment, right? So it's really important that you have a very strong online presence. It's, like, so you have something to build on. So what I said earlier, if you want to attract more people to your business, you need to make sure that you have those building blocks in place before you spend a whole lot of time and money, perhaps, of attracting more visitors to your website. Another thing that's really important on your website is a clear call to action. So, what do you want people to do when they get there, right? And again, a lot of businesses are a little bit shy when it comes to this. They don't want to be too aggressive or too salesy. So they basically make it very, like they don't really ask for it to do anything, which again has been proven in marketing and psychology that you actually have to be very specific about what you want people to do next. So that's another thing. An easy fix that a lot of businesses could actually implement right away and probably get a lot higher response rate on their website. Another thing is the online visibility of your website is super important. So that includes things like search engine optimization, having the right content that's relevant for your visitors. Like have very valuable content that ranks well in Google. If you can rank higher than your main competitor in your local market for any service you have, your chances for success are going to go up dramatically, right? Because if you're not on this first page in Google, there's very few people that go past the front page, and everybody knows it, right? So the value of that for a business to actually rank properly is super important, and that's part of building a lead generating website. So just a website that nobody knows, nobody can find, is not going to do your business a lot of good. So you need to make sure that people can find it, and then in the next step, actually, we're going to attract more visitors to that as well. But like a beautiful website that nobody can find, or a beautiful website that doesn't give you more business, is not going to help to grow your business very much. So then the third step in the process would be to attract visitors. So we can employ paid online advertising. I'll talk a bit more about that in a few minutes. Like through Google, through Facebook, very effective way of investing in your marketing. So basically the money you used to be spending in the newspaper, if you would spend that same amount of money online and actually have ads and links show up on different platforms, it's an extremely effective way of reaching your target client. Again, the search optimization is an ongoing thing as well. So once you learn what people are searching for and what they're interested in, you can actually fine-tune your some of the keywords, the key phrases, the content on your website, for example. The content that you're generating for social media could be targeted to that. So that's an ongoing process as well. And social media by itself is a very important source. Can be a very important source for your business to generate more traffic to your website and ultimately more leads. But again, what I'm trying to get to here with the 4-step process is that may not be the first thing you need to do. You need to first look after the basics and make sure that you have that in place before you can actually be effective on social media. So then the 4th step is, once people land on your website once, you want to find a mechanism to capture their information. And the reason for that is that it's only a small percentage of your prospective clients are actually looking to buy right now. I mean, there's a large majority that may be very interested in your product, but they're just not ready to buy. So how do you capture those people's information? And generally through an email sign-up form, so you can actually market to them later and stay in touch with them. So nurture that relationship until they're ready to buy or actually trust you enough to say, yeah, like I'm ready to go ahead and deal with you. So how can you do that? You can give valuable information like ebooks or webinars or something. You're going to give away something for free, but like with that, people appreciate the education and the information that they receive. So they will there's a higher probability that they will return the favor and actually come to you when they need your service. Now, I've with this slide, I'm just looking at the time here. I've actually covered a lot of my other slides, so which is okay. I think this is a nice little overview. But does anybody have any questions? We're a pretty small group here, so I'd love to just open up the, feel free to fire away at a question that you may have, or I'll just continue on. Okay.
There are 2 comments on the chat. Maybe Danny would handle that. Do you want to react to that?
I can do it now, or I can do it later. It's up to you.
Later. Okay, perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So clarify. So I'm just going to go through the 4 steps now, and then we can go into our Q&A session. So another way of phrasing to clarifying your messaging is to ask yourself, what is the stuff that keeps my customer awake at night? Like, what is really bugging them? Like, what is the problem that they're dealing with? Like, so for example, in our case, like one of the things that keeps our clients awake is my outdated websites doesn't do anything. Like and my competitors, they're eating our lunch. They're actually way better at this stuff, and we feel like we're being left behind. So in our communication, we want to kind of appeal to that. No, it's a fear, it's an emotion, and that's generally the most powerful things that we have to work with in marketing is emotions. It's not so much the rational decisions, is oftentimes how we feel and the fears we have about missing out or not staying in business, for example. So that's an example. And you always want to zoom in on a specific problem. It's much better to have a discussion about something that people can really resonate to, and then it's relatively a small group, instead of just having a very broad appeal in your messaging. Because if you have, for example, if you have a business that has several different services and you sell to different clients, client groups, if you just have one kind of a corporate message about all the things that you're doing, you're not going to appeal to anybody in particular. So it's much better to zoom in your marketing on one problem at a time. And if you have more than one problem that you solve for different people, or even for the same people, then make sure you create different campaigns for those different problems you're solving. Much better than just being too generic. So people need to understand in a split second. People are very, very busy these days, and they don't spend a lot of time thinking things through, just because they don't have time or the energy to think things through too much. So can the customer immediately understand what you offer? And again, on your social media, on your website, on all the communication that you're doing, does it make sense? Does it talk about their problem? I think that's, and how you talk about their problem and how you're actually solving those problems. Again, I already mentioned this. So, like in marketing, it's extremely important that you have the right message in the right to the right audience, and then of course using the right medium as well. So again, when you clarify a message, you're going to be in much better position to develop all this other communication. And last night with Robert's webinar, Dr. Opoku, one of the questions I asked him, how do small businesses deal with this? Like, how do they, how can a small business owner come up with all this content? Because that's really a challenge for a lot of people. And I get it. Like people are already working 50, 60 hours a week. How can you expect them to develop fresh content every week or every day for the social media platforms? So what we have found with if you have a very clear message and you have some, you write that down, you think it through. Now all of a sudden you have so much more to work with, and you just basically what you're doing is repeating the same message in different ways, and it's extremely powerful. So Donald Miller's favorite quote is, "If you confuse them, you lose them." And yeah, like I totally agree with that. So then step two, the lead generating website. Again, the website is a extremely important part of your marketing. Again, not everybody is on social media, believe it or not, although there's, the 3 billion people on Facebook is an incredible number. But the reality is not everybody is on Facebook. And so if your only presence is on Facebook, and people want to connect with you or want to see what the products that you have, and you link to your Facebook page, if they don't have an account, they can't see it. So you're missing out. And it is, like that's not very, well, you miss out on the business, but it's also very, people get annoyed by that as well. So, your organic search visibility, without a proper website, you don't have, Google cannot index you. Basically, you don't exist, right? And it's safe to say that 99.9% of the people in the world, or at least in our part of the world, will use Google at least once a day to search for information. So if you cannot be found, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to connect with your clients. So again, it's your first impression. Even if you get people from other avenues or people that are attracted to your social media efforts, people you see at chamber meeting, networking events, sales calls you make to people, sales Zooms. I mean, the first thing they do after you're done giving your presentation is, well, let's go check out this company and see if it's actually what Peter just told me actually matches what the work they have been doing, right? So it's your main lead generating tool. So what are some of the main aspects of a great website? It's great content. Content, again, that's based on a very clear message. Content that is written for humans, like not for Google bots or anything like that. Content that is written in a conversational language rather than way too technical, which again, a lot of, we call it, in marketing, we call it the curse of knowledge. And I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs can relate to this. We know so much about our topic that we use words that normal people actually don't really use on a day-to-day basis. So we got to be very careful with that, to be speaking in the customer's language. And that has nothing to do with the level of intelligence. It just has to do with they want to burn as few calories as possible to understand your message and know what you're all about. So, of course, your website needs to be easy to use and mobile friendly. And that's another thing that there's a lot of websites out there yet that haven't made the switch yet. So if you would implement some of these things on your website that we talk about today, you're going to see dramatic improvements in results. So now we get to the stage that we want to attract visitors, right? So again, for some of your businesses, depending on your business model, this will be probably the first place that they go, even if you have a retail location. A lot of people actually check you out before, like, first of all, like, when are you open? What does it look like? People do their research generally before they actually walk into your store, if you do have a storefront. So what are some of the three essential digital marketing tools that we believe are most valuable? So this is the 20% of the 80% perhaps, but these are the most powerful ones that you can implement for your small business. You can always do more in marketing, but again, you have limited time and you have limited resources. So you need to be very smart about it. So the paid online advertising is extremely effective if you do it right. You have to make sure that you go after the right audience. So you need to make sure that you know your target market very well. Again, having this clear message about what you are about and why does it matter. But with the paid online advertising, that's why we put it on number one, is as soon as you start paying Google or Facebook to display your ads, it will actually happen. So when I talked earlier about this paralysis almost of not knowing what to do next or where to start, if you would implement some of these like those paid online advertising campaigns, you know that your ad will be shown and your results will be part of the search results, for example, right? Like if it's a search ad. And yeah, the beautiful thing about these, especially Google Ads, is like if the intent of people that are looking for certain things, of course, is completely clear. Like if I'm looking for a furnace cleaning company in Lacombe, and I'm typing that in Lacombe into Google, my intent is I would never be looking for that if I just out of general interest, right? I would only be typing that in if I'm actually have the intent of looking for somebody. So that's why, but that's the big power of the Google search advertising, is that your ad will show up at the right time instead of having this broadcast approach and hopefully somebody will need furnace cleaning. You're actually dealing with people that are interested in furnace cleaning and they need it today, because they're otherwise they wouldn't probably be putting it into Google. So that's really an important tactic. Facebook advertising works very similarly. It's based on things that you are interested in. So Facebook, of course, has a tremendous amount of information about each user, like their interests, your hobbies, your work. They're extremely smart about putting it all together and then offering that information to advertisers. So as you probably are aware of, like Facebook and some of those digital platforms are under a lot of scrutiny at the moment for that reason, because they are using and reselling private information that people have willingly put on, by the way. It's not like they have gotten this information in the wrong way, but it is extremely powerful. Like if you're selling like a beauty product to a certain group of women, for example, through Facebook advertising, you can actually target that group fairly specifically. And so again, your relevant message will be shown to the people that are more likely to buy or need that product and buy that product. So again, it's a marketer's dream to be able to serve a ad or a piece of information that's actually relevant to that market. So again, we start out with Facebook advertising, and of course Instagram. When I say Facebook, I say Instagram. There's other platforms as well. We don't have time to go through them all, but Facebook is the big gorilla, I guess, in that market. They also own Instagram, so Instagram is skyrocketing, of course, as everybody knows. So for you as a business or as a person to actually stand out on any of those platforms, just with your organic materials, right? Like your actual content and your posts and all that, it's becoming increasingly difficult because there's so much information being posted every second. So your followers, the people that you're connected with on Facebook, for example, the chances that your message will actually be seen by them is actually getting smaller and smaller. So then, and again, part of Facebook's business model, it's a free platform, but of course their business model is, again, the same as Google, is to sell the advertising to advertisers. So we feel, we've seen the results that small businesses can benefit from both of those. So each of these platforms, we can have an hour long or at least an hour long webinar on their own, how they work and why they work and all that. But just look into that, and if you're not already doing some of those things, consider starting, making an attempt to try it out and see how it works for you. Then the second step is the local SEO, and again, being visible online on a local level. Like again, a lot of small businesses are localized, right? Like they're not multinationals, they're not necessarily all over the place. A lot of, I couldn't tell you the exact percentage, but a large majority of small businesses that we have in Lacombe in Central Alberta, they serve a local market just because of physical, the furnace cleaning truck, for example, out of Red Deer is not going to go drive all the way to Calgary, for example. So, and vice versa. So your local SEO is, and that basically means like your local visibility. If people are looking for you, can they easily find you? It's done through Google My Business, and Google My Business is a free service from Google that allows you to have a profile, and it's been proven that For your search visibility is an extremely important piece of information. And again, a lot of small business owners actually haven't claimed their listing yet. They don't really know it exists, which is a huge missed opportunity because it's connected to all the Google services. And now here you have an opportunity as a business owner to actually feed the right information into Google. So it's a very powerful tool. Citations is another way that Google ranks businesses. So that has to do with the consistency of your listings in the different online directories, and there's a gazillion of them that most people don't know about. But those are all ranking factors for when Google looks at your website and ranks it at a certain point. Of course, reputation management. What do people say about your business on Google or online on Facebook or any of the other platforms? Like, do you actually keep track of that? Do you respond if there's a bad review? Again, they're all very relatively easy to do, but you just have to have a plan in place to actually get it done. So then the third leg of the attracting visitors is the social media, and of course you want to go where where your clients are, right? So for example, if you're a business-to-business market, so you sell to other businesses, LinkedIn may be a very good choice for you to spend your time on instead of trying to do all these different platforms. And that's another thing we recommend our small business owners. If you're new to social media and this doesn't come natural to you, like there's companies out there that they're fabulous at their social media and they really get into it and they are able to keep it up and they have great results. But I think the majority of small business owners is not very good at it, and they need to make choices. So our recommendation is if you want to take that next step and actually become active on social media, first of all, find out what platform makes the most sense for you. And that's based on where your customers are, where do they spend their time. And then start with one platform and optimize it and measure how those results are for you on the platform before you jump onto the next social media train, TikTok or whatever it may be. I mean, they could all be good platforms that you should consider, but if you start diluting your time over all these different platforms, it becomes really, really difficult. So again, our recommendation is to start small, start building it up, and then take the next step. Now, again, one strategy for social media that we have seen work very well is to develop what we call evergreen content. So that's actually a more in-depth piece of information or content that's actually valuable to your target market. And the reason for that is people actually are looking for tips and information and how to do things better all the time. So if you can present yourself as the expert in your field, in your business, people are going to be attracted to you. And then the next thing is with developing some more in-depth content is you can pull that apart and actually post it in and reuse that in different posts and different ways. So you don't have to always create new items. You can actually reuse some of that information, which again makes it really practical for small businesses. So then the fourth stage is, and we, so once you have, people have shown interest, they've raised their hands and say, hey, yeah, I'm actually really interested in what you have to offer, but I may not be ready to buy right now. So this diagram kind of shows a little bit what it could look like. It's a typical market. There's about 3% of the people that are ready to buy your product right now. I mean, they're hot. They want to. Where can I get it? I need to deal with this right now, and they're a very important group of people, of course, because they are ready to transfer you the money and actually get going on things. But and a lot of small businesses are focusing on this 3% of the people that are ready to buy right now. So, but besides the 3% that's ready to buy today, there's also approximately 37%. People that are actually really interested in what you have to offer, but they're just not ready to buy today. So how can you capture those leads, those people, so you can follow up with them and actually build this relationship of trust, so that eventually they'll actually, they have a higher probability that if they do need your product or service, where are they going to go? Well, they're going to go with somebody they already know and trust. So if you can position yourself as that expert, then you have a much higher chance that people will deal with you. So then that's the other portion of the pie chart that's not interested, or even they would not buy your product if it was free, right? So, and that's okay. Every market has that group of people, and you just don't worry about it. They're not part of your target market. Okay, so the whole idea is to position yourself as an expert instead of being like a sales, or like a pushy salesperson. You're actually a welcome guest, not a pest. That's really the goal of the lead nurturing kind of a phase in your marketing plan. So in conclusion, so you need to be where your clients are spending their time. That's pretty obvious, right? So that's, by and large, now it's online. And if you compare dollar to dollar for what you pay for exposure online to what you exposure with some more traditional media, there's no comparison. Like it's so much more cost effective to do that. So start with a simple plan. Plan that's simple enough you actually can act on it, instead of just having a 80-page document that collects dust in a drawer somewhere. If you can build this digital marketing system, clarify your message, build an awesome, or update your website to make it more in tune with your clients, and nurture those leads to people that are not ready to buy right now, but nurture those relationships, and so that at a later date you can actually harvest some of that, or reap the benefits from that. So with that, I am gonna open it up for questions and feedback.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we're receiving questions. As we're waiting for our guests to ask, we have about 8 minutes for questions. Let me start with a general question for you, Peter. Do you believe that a small business has the possibility to do all that on its own?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In a lot of cases, the answer would be no. But there's also there's basically two. It's the same reason why a lot of small businesses don't do their own accounting, right? Or they may do their own books, but once a year they at least go to the accountant. And I think that marketing is very similar. Like it would really, it's most helpful if you have a guide, somebody that can lead you through it. I don't necessarily recommend hiring everything out either, and don't take any responsibility for your marketing, because I think Peter Drucker said it, like the two main responsibility of an entrepreneur are innovation and marketing, right? So you can't farm out your marketing 100%, but you can use tools. First of all, the automation is an important factor that you can tap into. Plus, try to find a guide, somebody that you trust to guide you through the process, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for. And then there's people that just want to get it done. So we have kind of, like, if you look at Edge, we have two kinds of clients. We have the do it for them client. They basically want to be very little involvement from their end. It's kind of like hiring a plumber. Just get her done, and that works to a certain extent. We still need to figure out their marketing strategy, but we kind of become the marketing department for them. And then there's another group of clients that really want to walk through it themselves, and for cost considerations, of course, but also I think it's almost more effective, because if you're personally invested in your marketing, you have the knowledge, like you know your market, right? And an external agency or an external group would have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out that same level of knowledge.
Okay, thank you. And there are a couple of comments and questions in the chat as well. Now let us slide.
So,
Yep, go ahead.
so for the first question, do you find that the first web heading should state a problem/pain point or show an aspiration statement about your solution to the pain points? Later sections easily follow the problem/solution and lead generation, but what about that first heading?
Yeah, very good question. So yeah, the first heading really should talk about the problem that your client is experiencing, and described in such a way that appeals to the emotion. So like the internal problem that they are dealing with. Like if you go back to the plumbing example, yes, there's a sewer line broken, and that's a problem. But the underlying problem, really, what the customer is dealing with, is the mess and the stink and all the rest of it that you're solving. So that's a very good question. So in my opinion, that catchphrase or like this headline, the first thing that they see would really clearly explain exactly what you do. So again, don't try to be too clever or too deep, because people simply don't have the time to figure out exactly what you do. So the easier you can make it for them, the better it is.
And how do you balance the combination of paid versus organic reach on social media?
Okay, that's a very good question as well. So again, it really depends on the on the business that you're in. First of all, I believe that there's certain businesses that are benefiting much more from social media than others. Now, it can be used for everybody, but I think it requires different platforms that you need to choose. So for example, if you are a lifestyle product or service, like even a restaurant, people love food. People love to talk about food, or certain people like to talk about food. So for a business that has a general interest, or is a hobby, or is just interesting to people, the organic approach will really work well if you do it properly. Because like people are actually really interested in what you have to offer. Now, what I said earlier, like it becomes harder and harder to actually have your audience see your posts, right? So then now you're spending a lot of time on developing all this content, but if people can't see it, the way that, of course, that Facebook works, now they have the option to either boost the post or actually do plain advertising. So it would depend on the business and the product that you're selling, like what is more important. But in the perfect world, you would have 40 hours a week to just work on your social media. But the reality is that there's no business in the world that actually, unless you have paid staff to do that for you, that can actually keep up with that. So then in that case, we say, well, if you can do the organic content creation and keep that up, now you're probably better off to start out with some, like you still have to generate content, but now actually almost start with this paid advertising, because that's give you instant results. I'm not sure if that answers your question completely.
Okay. Any additional questions? We have 2 more minutes to go for Peter. If not, I want to. Any other questions before?
Yep, there's
okay.
One more.
Okay.
How can social media marketing help help B2B companies? Any advice on tools to use?
Okay, yeah, thanks for the question, Robert. Yeah, like business to business, of course, now you're dealing with other businesses, and where do business and professionals hang out? A lot of them are hanging out on LinkedIn. So what we have found, LinkedIn is probably, for ourselves, is the #1 lead generating tool. And it makes sense because, first of all, people go on LinkedIn and put their profiles up expecting to be approached by other businesses, because it's this kind of replaces the networking that we used to do at chamber meetings and those kind of things. So the nice thing about something like LinkedIn is that people are expecting it, and The other nice thing about something like LinkedIn is instead of just having like 1,000 followers on your Facebook page, you actually have names and contacts that you can actually approach through LinkedIn. So yeah, like all the tools will work for some businesses, right? Like Facebook is a powerful tool. And let's face it, like with 3 billion people on Facebook, there's also a lot of business owners that are a part of that. But we find it's if you have limited resources, it is just much better to really think through like where are your clients, and this is nothing new. That it just gives you options, and then start focusing, trying to work on this one platform, and then once you get some traction and some results by spending a good amount of time on it, then move on to the next one. So. The nice thing also with the content generation and the messaging that you've come up with, it's very reusable, right? You can use the same sort of information on the different platforms. But I would highly recommend really thinking through which platforms are going to be the most beneficial for you, and don't listen too much to what other people are doing, because every business is different.
Thank you. So it's 6:01. I don't know if you want to take a couple of more minutes, because we started at 5, but I don't want to penalize those who are on time. I want to thank you, Peter. Thank everybody in attendance today. With the permission of Peter, this presentation would be posted on Birmingham University's website for later viewing, because we're in an online environment nowadays. I thank you very much. And this has been an effort of the, again, the School of Business, Birmingham University, and consultants and experts in the communities, such as Dr. Opoku, last night, and Mr. DeWit tonight. And we're going to have another seminar tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, earlier in the afternoon. It's going to be another CEO of a marketing firm in Red Deer, Mike. And I would like to invite you to come